Okay, in my opinion, the border wall and the government shutdown, I want to see the town, the county, and the states held more accountable for illegals crossing through their state. And town and counties keep giving sanctuary status to offenders. They even give sanctuary status to local offenders just as a plea bargain, and send them local offenders that got a plea bargain and special treatment from the town and counties to the federal government to work without the federal government knowing of this kind of conduct. And special interest, and they give for plea bargains and stuff, they give perpetrators special privilege and jobs within the county. The town and the county are terrorizing and have too much power, consolidated schools, social services, and the judiciary. We got to fix that. That's what the government shutdown needs to be. The county governments need to be shut down and stop terrorizing the local community residents. You harassing children for months and then abducting children with false petitions in the courts, rubber stamping everything social services puts in front of them. We got to stop this. We need to break up those three entities. And the federal government, I don't know, they don't really have an impact on our life like the county and the town and the states, the ones that vote themselves supercision of our liberties and our rights and our free. We're not allowed to own anything in the state of North Carolina, Watauga County. They got property taxes on our cars and our houses, forcing us to go out here and do commerce, maintain a job to maintain their salaries, and have to maintain a vehicle to run on decrepit infrastructure. Let's get the conversation where it belongs, the infrastructure, Mr. Trump. That's where the conversation belongs, along with shutting down these county radical groups of government employees, Democrats, that have hijacked every avenue of education in this country to fill their salaries and give them the control over the indoctrination of this nation, making our children attend their schools through compulsory attendance laws on the state and the county levels. It's wrong. We shouldn't be forced to associate. We came from Europe to here to be free, not forced to associate with bad environments such as the public school system. They all the time respiratory infections, all the time dangerous bus rides, all the time violence erupting in the school because people break when they are harassed and terrorized constantly. And I'm 40 something. I'm not going to say my age. I'm 40 something. Since I was a little kid, I can remember citation after citation, then social services after social services. If it's not our family, it's another family, and so on and so on. Then I was on the street because the government voted themselves access to our home so other people down the road could profit. Now the people down the road got plenty of access to their community. They want to bypass, so they're going to bulldoze some more, and we aren't even capable anymore after the government STEM school system got done bulldozing every agricultural sustainable farm in the community. And it's not Walmart's that's pushed all these people and these mom and pop businesses out. It's not Walmart. It's not Amazon. It is property taxes from the county employees forcing a ransom out of the residences and the business owners to maintain their coffers and their base. They have formed a radical group of government employees base that vote themselves access to representation, seats of representation, and salaries. We have to stop it and we need them shut down, please. God Almighty, let the federal government spend all they want from our income taxes. That's fine. Just be sure we're secure and that these towns and counties, towns, counties, and states adhere to the Constitution. The fabric of this nation was to secure personal possessions for independent civil citizens from any unjust taxation without representation. And with all the lobbyists and special interests allowed access to our representatives, we got new technology right here. I can vote personally on any line item of civil legislation necessary. I don't need a representative, especially one that would block a resident's opinion because it's descending to theirs on social media, their offices. That's against my constitutional rights. I have rights to free expression, free speech, especially in correspondence with post from the representative of my district. Now, I never threatened and I never got profanity on Virginia Fox's Facebook account, office's Facebook account. The representative of this district has blocked me off of her Facebook account because I do not align with her interest, and I'm not allowed to speak a counter opinion openly. She won't give us none of them give us a digital town hall once a week for an hour or 2 hours, like I've been begging. We demand a digital town hall. Not first come, first serve on the board, just like C-SPAN. We need this. We need this bad. We need the county regulated. We can't have all three branches of a action facilitated within the county for them to be able to terrorize, insinuate, try to frame me for 9 counts of felony communicating threats. Tried to frame me. Made up an allegation and then investigated me for 8 months when it was their employees that wrote out and made the call. It had to be. I didn't even have a cell phone that day. Wasn't even out of bed that day. They have very bad timing. But they still harassed me. They came through my house, violating all my freedoms, come on my property without a warrant. Multiple times came to my work without presenting a warrant or a charge. They investigated me, and where's the findings of that investigation? Where's the documentation of all the wasted hours them pigs perpetrated? Excuse me, I have to go because I'm tired of being harassed. I'm tired of being harassed, and I'm tired of being terrorized. I've been here for my whole life. I know how this county just bulldozes everybody who has a small business so the rich can buy houses. The rich couldn't have had a house if it wasn't for the government mandating a ransom out of the property owners, forcing the property owners to liquidate their homes because they have to service this property. No, it's not right. We owned all of Blowing Rock. Then we had to sell because we couldn't afford that large amount of property taxes. And then these other people bought and set up little storefronts and stuff. Well, the property taxes got too high for them to maintain, and they had to sell, and everybody's been forced to sell. Nobody wants to sell. Nobody wants to sell to people who are going to inflate the cost of living in their county and their community. We have no local sustainable farms anymore. And the Belt and Road in China, we see it coming to your town too. Everybody's going to be mad in China. Everybody's going to be mad in Europe, and it's going to be, that's what all them people are over there. They had a gun. They got targeted because of 9/11. They used 9/11 for excuse to go over and harass anybody who had a firearm. All the shepherds that had arrived, everybody over there that lived that had a weapon was targeted, just like they're trying to figure out how to do here. They're trying to figure out how to erode the United States Constitution. Well, guess what? They don't have to figure it out. They've already perpetrated it on the town and the county level. Now, if you're going to shut down anything and interfere with any kind of migrant or anything, we got to secure the nation's property owners from global commerce. That means as immigrants and tourists and people go through using up the utilities, we have to procure the necessary capital to maintain the utilities and the securities of that community through a transaction tax, sales tax versus a property tax. It's simple. Take it from my liquid assets, not from my static retirement. My home, my only real security that insulates me from the homeless situation I was in for 15 years. And I know how hard it is to get off the streets. I also know how hard it is to offer somebody an avenue off the streets. They'll lay in here with their needles and their booze if I let them. No, you can't just take people off the street these days because they're professional bums. They're not homeless. The veterans that get six, seven, eight, nine, $1,500 check a year are opiate addicts or drunks that live high times and are unable to maintain a home because they live high times a couple of weeks out of the month and they're broke the rest of the month without paying any bills. It's not that the system has forgotten our men and women. It's that the system has inducted them into opiate abuse because the system gives drugs instead of security and tranquility. The system wants to give drugs to the children, to the veterans, to every single buddy, as long as they circulate the drugs through their mental health system, which they're trying to cultivate this massive mental health system that they've built mental health FEMA camps according to what people are thinking because they don't want a transcending opinion. Not that people have mental health, not that people ain't capable of going out here and farming and cultivating food and becoming more comfortable and self-sustaining at their homes, but that the government on the town, county, and state level are forcing every resident to go out here and find an artificial sustenance so they can be taxed and pay taxes, not stay at home and cultivate a natural sustenance, but to go out and find artificial sustenance, being slaves to people's home building. They're they're trying to make a whole service industry out of this Green Valley school. They're trying to make every student there you can tell, a service industry professional. In other words, they're undereducating them deliberately so they can be either come back and work at that school, which almost the whole generation has, or they can be service working at McDonald's and shit. No, that's not going to happen with my kid. I hate that we have to even associate with them. I would not even be in this facility right here in my home for 4 months to 6 months out of the year. I would board it up, drain the water, and I would go south. Oh, where would you go? I go anywhere other than sitting on top of a mountain that's frozen solid, waiting for it to thaw out. I might not even come back till March. Be gone from December, January, February. January and February suck here. All right. It's nothing to board up your home and go. The only reason that you can't board up your home is because you got to have $1.60 a day ransom for the county. You have to delegate your son full time to the county employees to indoctrinate with basically just neglect his instruction. There's days that he goes to school and comes back and hadn't read or written or added a thing. And then there's days that they send them to school, feed them breakfast, run around in the gymnasium, and then release them, or they're calling it a half a day, days in a row. They got this system that is so it's not consistent. It doesn't indoctrinate a work schedule. It indoctrinates special privileges sitting on your ass for participating. They want you stupid. And we got to shut them down, not the federal government. We need to shut the county government down. There's too many of them. There's not enough. There's no more liberty and freedom, what we were intended to have. There's only these government employees with their salaries. And they're the ones that are losing the biggest because I'm complaining. I'm complaining big, but no, it's really not that bad on my end. If I say just let them be what they want to be, I can go on, have big time. I take my kid, I can find the loophole. I know the loopholes. But I want my environment where I live to be palatable for me. I don't want my environment where I live to be all the time under these people. Since '08, you can build, you can pump shit uphill, you can be on top of the hills, you can move the creek, you can do anything because they're doing it. We had standards back when I was younger that you couldn't move the creek, you couldn't build on top of the hills, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that to preserve for and to prevent water runoff that was uncontrollable. Guess what? We're having massive flooding problems, and they're wanting to build another. This, oh, well, that's a separate branch. That's their job. And they don't care about the science. They don't need to worry about the runoff. That's locals' job to manage the runoff. There is such thing as overpopulation, and it don't come from the little rural houses and the houses across the countryside. It comes from pavement. It comes from apartment buildings and pavement. I can go on for hours and days and months at the inadequacies of the system and how it's being managed. They farm out construction and maintenance of the utilities to a contractor that installs something that falls off into the creek the very next day, and they don't seem to think that that's a disconnect. They farm out ambulances to a company instead of procuring the proper. They build these big old fire departments that don't have a paramedic in it, don't have an ambulance in it, don't have a transport in it. And if somebody gets hurt out here, it's a 30-minute ride out here. Then it's a 30-minute ride back. Now, could we knock off one of them 30 minutes and have a sheriff and a ambulance at the fire department? Do you think that's even possible? Could that even be remotely a good idea? Or should we have these little multi-million-dollar contracts with this private company that can raise its rates at a whim? Or what? No, nobody can compete with an established entity. It's a bunch of shit. It's absolutely a bunch of shit. And I've made this video so friggin' long. Just, I hate that I am not able to communicate to you how to insulate our community from globalization and allow people to have farms, not 4-lane highways.